A photo capturing the making of a high-stakes deal. After weeks of tension, a trade war pushed back for now.
We are obviously pleased to see this development, but we have more work to do.
After his second call with Trump today, the Prime Minister announced online proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days while we work together, and released new measures to appoint a fentanyl czar and list cartels as terrorists, in addition to re-announcing a more than $1 billion border security plan.
The President expressed concerns, we listened, but we're working now jointly, hand in hand, especially when it comes to this scourge and this tragedy surrounding fentanyl.
The news a relief for premiers, even as they acknowledged it's not over.
It gives us 30 days to have better programs, but for me, it's not a complete victory.
There still is that threat of tariffs in the future, and so we have a responsibility to continue to take those long-term steps to ensure that our economy is Trump-proof.
Two countries used to fighting on the same side pushed to the brink of economic war, the tension coming to a head over the last few days.
We will not back down.
Those advising the Prime Minister say Trudeau's threats of retaliation are why Trump backed down.
If we had done nothing, at midnight tonight, we would have had 25% tariffs on every single goods that we ship to the United States. We responded in a measured way, in a strong way, and it got the president's attention.
The entire episode was bluster on Trump's part, says a former U.S. Treasury Secretary.
I don't believe you've made a real and significant concession. You wanted to cooperate with us before. This is all just theatrics, it seems to me, of a rather depraved sort.
The Prime Minister also said he's launching a task force with the U.S. to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering, and that he signed a new intelligence directive putting $200 million behind it.
So, Ashley, it appears that the premiers, seem skeptical that Canada's out of the woods here, but they're also so far honoring the pause.
Yeah, Adrienne, Ontario's Premier Doug Ford said he's putting on pause his promise to rip up Ontario's nearly $100 million contract with Elon Musk's Starlink. And he's also holding back on stripping American products from provincial liquor stores. And in BC, American alcohol already pulled from the shelves over the weekend will be put back out for now.
All right, Ashley Burke in Ottawa. So let's go to Washington now, where Katie Simpson shows us that while Trump, for the moment, appears satisfied, he spent the day signaling that from Canada, he wants far more.
Thank you very much. We have some very exciting news today.
The U.S. president's argument, this tariff war is all about border security, deeply undercut by his own words. Donald Trump offering a long list of ways Canada can permanently avoid tariffs, including by becoming the 51st state.
If people wanted to play the game right, it would be 100% certain that they'd become a state. But a lot of people don't like to play the game because they don't have a threshold of pain, and there would be some pain.
Trump has also said he wants to see Canada increase defense spending, American banks getting greater access to Canadian markets, and for cooperation in the auto sector to end.
We don't need them to build our cars. I'd rather see Detroit or South Carolina or any one of our Tennessee.
Trump has openly said he wants to use tariffs to generate revenue to pay for his election campaign promises, including tax cuts. And his vice president says tariffs are a tool to end trade deficits.
We have to rebalance our trade relationship in this country.
Trump even acknowledged it's about more than the border when announcing the tariff pause. Writing on social media, they're going to see whether or not a final economic deal with Canada can structured. Yet Trump's inner circle still insists this is only about one thing.
Where President Trump was absolutely 100% clear that this is not a trade war, this is a drug war.
By any standard, it was a roller coaster of a day in Washington, all based on the decisions made by one man.
Bien, ustedes?
Mexico's president was also able to secure a 30-day tariff pause after she promised to send 10,000 soldiers to patrol the southern U.S. border. Trump has his closest trading partners on edge, and it looks like that will continue to be his strategy.
Nobody can compete with us because we're the pot of gold. But when you're the pot of gold, the tariffs are very good. They're very powerful.
The president signed a new executive order to formalize the 30-day reprieve, and it says the Trump administration will spend the next month monitoring and determining if it's satisfied with Canada's border commitments.
Okay, so that's interesting. But Donald Trump certainly hasn't abandoned all that talk about Canada becoming the 51st state. That's still out there.
The language is growing more incendiary. 24 hours ago, Trump said Canada isn't a viable country without U.S. support. And now he's floating the idea of playing games to make Canada a state, complaining that people don't have the pain threshold to go through with it. It's language that is only adding to the tensions at this already very low point in Canada-U.S. relations.
All right, Katie Simpson in Washington. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks.
David Cochrane, host of Power and Politics, has been following in minute detail every step of the way. So, David, Canada has this 30-day pause, but the question is where to go from here.
And you know, that's a very good question. I mean, they have to get this deal, this agreement in place. They have to keep reminding the Americans of the costs of this agenda should the president pursue tariffs when this 30-day ends. So there's some relief on this delay, but no real assurance that this is over. But 30 days without economically crippling tariffs is better than 30 days with economically crippling tariffs. These would push the country into a recession, take about $84 billion off your GDP, push unemployment up to 10%. They've avoided that for now for the relatively bargain price of about $1.5 billion, but it only bought them 30 days, Adrienne, for sure.
So the demands, the asks shift. Now Donald Trump is talking about getting a final economic deal with Canada. What is that?
Yeah, I mean, the legal instrument that he used to threaten tariffs, the emergency powers, the pretext was that this was about fentanyl. But he talks about reshaping the economic deal, trade flows, fairness, all of these things. And that's the concern, is that his real goal, to reshape the continental trade relationship to his liking and his satisfaction? That's a much bigger challenge. That's a tougher argument to win. And that's one that's going to last beyond Justin Trudeau, maybe whoever wins the Liberal leadership, and certainly past the next election. It's going to be there for the entire time that Trump is in office. I mean, Adrienne, it's day 15 of the Trump presidency. There's 1,446 days to go.
All right, David Cochrane in Ottawa. You'll be here for every one of them, I know.
Every one of them. Thanks.